Yo, how you guys doing? I'd like to show some of the specific bug fixes and added features that I found in Update 1.2 for Stalker 2. These features are more obviously noticed in gameplay, which I think is important and significant in the progression of the game's technical state. I didn't want to sit here and read off and show you guys a bunch of patch notes and not test them. I feel like that's kind of boring, and a lot of the times patch notes will be riddled with like hundreds of different lines of bug fixes that you don't really notice. One or two are kind of noticeable, but the rest are just like in the background bug fixes. So I just wanted to show the significant bug fixes and features in this video. First bug fix that I noticed right away and was really important to me was there are no more permanent rain when you reach a certain point in the main story around the Pripyat area. Before, this bug would occur if you side against the ward. The only playthrough that you were able to not have permanent rain for the rest of the game everywhere would be if you don't side with ward. But now you're able to have no more permanent rain in Update 1.2. I loaded into an existing save that I reached the ending portion of the game in and noticed that the game is no longer permanently raining, but you have to like skip time, so you have to sleep and let the game move forward in time a little bit for the weather system to kick back into what it was, because it will be raining when you load in those ongoing saves if you're at that point in the story. The second bug fix that was significant to me was not every single NPC having an exoskeleton after the second Duga assault mission or the boss mission with Faust. When you would complete the second Duga assault mission, all of the sudden every NPC would spawn in with exoskeletons in every squad, and it's mostly NPCs that are dynamic or maybe involved in the A-Life system, because certain NPCs in towns wouldn't have exoskeletons, but that's because they're kind of persistent. Other NPCs that are more dynamic and found throughout the open world would have exoskeletons. Now it's much more dynamic in the NPC's gear, as I believe it's based on what part of the map you're in now, which I think makes a lot of sense, and I applaud GSC for that. Thank you. Please doing stuff like that with the balancing of difficulty, because now when you go to Cordon, there'll be a squad of guys and only like one or two guys will have exoskeletons. The rest will have regular gear. Or if you go further north, more people will have exoskeletons in the squad and less without exoskeletons, which I think is a step in the right direction. The third major bug fix is the fact that the PDA freeze when putting it away is gone in Update 1.2. Before Update 1.2, when frame gen was enabled in settings, at least for me and a lot of other people who play on PC, when you put away the PDA, there would be like a small 1 to 2 second freeze in the animation, and it would basically skip over the animation and just go right back to whatever you were doing in the world. But now this is no longer the case, thankfully. It's a lot more smoother. You can actually see the animation. It feels more immersive putting away the PDA. There are a slew of other small fixes that I noticed, and you can read over the patch notes. But overall, it makes me feel that the team is working pretty hard on these bug fixes and getting the game as stable and smooth as possible to let them create more content and bring those free content updates that they promised. I personally didn't experience too many bugs anyway in my 230 hours of Stalker 2, but those 3 bug fixes were very significant in my immersion and enjoyment of Stalker 2. One of the biggest features everyone wanted since release has been flashlight shadows. In Update 1.2, GSC has added flashlight shadows into the game. I think they look very nice from a medium distance, but if you get too close, you'll notice they look a little weird on certain objects and NPCs. Sometimes it can look like there is a like pitch black ghost attached to the object or the NPC that is kind of like following the object based on the player's position and how you have the flashlight positioned towards that object. Personally, I think it's a good start, and it will definitely get ironed out in hot fixes and future patches. Another huge feature that they added into update 1.2 is the change in A-Life behavior. The NPCs will now loot dead NPCs at the end of combat. I tested it, and the inventory does actually transfer to the other NPC that picked up the loot. They will use the weapon they looted if it's better than what they have. They will even have unique dialogue when looting. For example, a member of the core faction looted a dead comrade and said, "I'm sorry, soldier, but I need this." I also saw a duty guy loot a bandit and say, "Need to resupply." This happened every time an encounter ended. The NPCs would still be weird and kind of reset after the encounter ended, but now they're kind of walking towards the dead bodies and will loot it. It's not a rare occasion anymore. It's not like bugged out. They are definitely going to loot any bodies that are around them. So you better pay attention when you're trying to gather loot from different dynamic situations that you come across. The NPCs will loot dead bodies, so that might not be your loot anymore. A-Life is important to me, and it's one of the most unique things about the trilogy, and I'm happy to see that they added in stalkers looting bodies and using the gear that they looted. I think that's, I don't know, that makes me very happy. First off, personally to me, this could be placebo. The A-Life encounters seem turned up. I had a lot more encounters than I did on previous versions of the game, and the zone felt more active. I've seen a lot of A-Life NPCs at campfires a lot more than before. Like most campfires you see throughout the game on previous versions would be empty, but now if you go to a campfire that's randomly not even at a POI or something, you'll probably see dudes chilling at the campfire. In combat, the enemies no longer have aimbot lasers from long distances with a shotgun, so the fights feel more natural. The combat AI seemed to want to flank me more. It could be placebo, but there were multiple times where I got caught off guard by an enemy that managed to get around me and had an advantage on me. Grenades seemed to do more damage as well to the player and to the NPCs. I also thought that bullets did more damage to the player and NPCs as well, but I can't confirm this. They did say they did some rebalancing, so it's a possibility. Overall, if this is the case, I like the idea of bullets and grenades doing more damage to the players and the NPCs. It doesn't have to be fully realistic, but more of a realistic flavor or vibe I enjoy. But that's not to say that Stalker 2 has bullet sponges right now. I don't think it does, but I think bullets should feel like bullets, like they should be dangerous. There are a lot of other small additions that are not as noticeable as these big ones that I mentioned. For instance, if you go on the map and hover over the name of a certain region in the zone, it now has a description menu drop down that'll pop up when you're hovering, and you can read the description of that region in the zone, which I think is cool. Adds to the lore and immersion. You can see every weapon's durability icon before picking it up from the ground, which is a huge quality of life thing. The controller has a new clap attack, or a roar ability as said in the patch notes, that acts kind of like a defense mechanism to slow you down, so you can't just run up on them. Like I said in my mutant fighting guide, you can't just run up on them anymore and shoot at them. They have like a little attack that'll make you pause. Patch 1.2 is a step in the right direction. Overall, the patch is good, but they really need to iron out the performance issues. If you watch the Zone Slug video on performance in patch 1.2, you'll see that the performance hasn't really changed at all. They did fix some LOD issues, but the performance hasn't really changed. And if anything, for me, performance got worse. So you might be in the same boat as me, or maybe something's weird going on with my computer. I appreciate you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of the update, and please like, comment, and subscribe for more Stalker 2. Have a good day.